Thank you very much, Mr. Hedrick, for the introduction. I'm very, very pleased to be with you tonight or this morning, this afternoon, depending from where you're talking or listening. I want to greet the Honorable State Minister Sashindra Rajapaksa and also congratulate for his speech, I think, which gave a great introduction already to what we are up to here tonight with our webinar. And also thank Andre Loy and all my colleagues and friends from Vandana, Jennifer, and many others, which I can see, Louise, in the display here, who are participating in this webinar. So great to see you all. And what I want to do, if I can, is to share my screen. I have a short PowerPoint, I think, to help make the points I want to make as a general introduction to this webinar, and sort of sets the stage a little bit on what's going on. So let me see if I can do that. Share screen. All right. Can you see my screen and my PowerPoint? Does that work?
Still not, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. We can't see it.
Can you see it? Okay. Okay, so what I want to do is to sort of put the framework a little bit of what Sri Lanka has decided to do, moving to natural agriculture, liberating itself from the juggernaut of imported fertilizer and also clearly pesticides and other external synthetic inputs. And
sorry, Hans, we cannot see your presentation yet.
Okay, so that's the response. I know there's a little trick here. Oh, yeah, swap display. And yet, now? It okay now?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. So, I'm trying to see all my little tools up there. And now?
No, not yet.
There's a, Hans, there's a bar at the top. Now that you're there, that should say share screen. If you have a look at the little bar, right at the top. First you start at the bottom, and then you'll see a bar at the top.
Yep, I was going there, and then I was trying to rearrange my... okay, hang on here. So I have to do this. Swap display. So, and swap display. Now? Okay.
Not yet.
Use slideshow. There's another button there which I'm trying to activate. No, should be working. Usually works.
Yeah.
Slide 1 of 1. Doesn't do anything. Okay, we're just going to go back quickly. I apologize for this. Yeah, we didn't test this ahead of time, unfortunately. Oh, okay. I need to go back to this one here. Share screen. Okay. Oh, okay. I see it now. Sorry. Hold on. Just stop. Here we go. Yeah. Just stop. 2. Oh. Okay, that should work now, right?
Not in my end, Hans, anyhow. But
and now?
No.
No.
There is an alternative, Hans, that you send this to Jennifer and Vic, and then they can share with you, and we can take Vandana, if it's okay with you.
Yeah, I just don't understand what's going on there. But are you sure that I'm allowed to do the?
Yes, Hans, you have all the functions, and if you open your PowerPoint first, and then you press the share screen function, right? It will come up. Yeah. Yeah,
it should. That's what. So okay, so I can see you here. So I have two screens. That's right. So. Down here are the share screen. One participant can share at a time. So are there other people who try to share this screen? Oh,
No,
maybe.
you're the only person.
You can just
You're the only
share
person.
screen.
Yeah, who is the technician there?
Vic, can you help Hans?
Yeah, Hans, can you just click the share screen and not the arrow?
Yep.
If you click the share screen, it should give you all the
Okay.
the current.
Okay. Yeah. So I have desktop 1.
Yes. So you are using.
Can you see that?
No, we still can't. You are using.
And desktop 2. Can you see desktop 2?
No, we can't.
This is,
You are using multiple.
yeah. I mean, what I can do, probably I'll just remove the other screen. I just put one screen, so then maybe sometimes it makes it easier before. So, and now? Do we see anything?
No.
Okay, so anyway, let me then just send the PowerPoint. I'll just end the show here.
Send the PowerPoint to Jennifer, and we will let the Vandana in now, and then you will come afterwards, okay. Hans. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, I can't do anything about it. I think I wish we had tested this before. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to connect what Sri Lanka's decision is on transforming their agriculture and food system, because eventually it will transform the food system to the SDGs. It also fits the date, 2030, 2020, so 10 years down the road. I think we can give it a good shot. So next. So the big issue, I think, which has been recognized by Sri Lanka's president and all his advisor, next, just so you can see the picture here, is that we have, with our way of producing our food, reached the planetary boundaries. And you have heard from Vandana's great speech, that we are just going overboard in all directions. In particular, I think we are going overboard with the issue of biodiversity loss, which is tremendous issue for agriculture and for sustainable, productive agriculture, which is resilient to the impact of climate change, of which, again, Vandana said so, we, with our present food system, contribute about half of those greenhouse gases. We also have a major problem when it comes to phosphate, when it comes to nitrogen, and we are way in the red when you look at the planetary boundaries. What's interesting to look at is to see that agriculture, the green revolution, industrial type and conventional agriculture, which uses all these chemicals, contributes the biggest part to this going into the red and yellow zones of the planetary boundaries. And we have to remain in the green areas for everything. You can see the job we have to do. And again, I want to congratulate Sri Lanka and all the other countries who have decided to go 100% organic to make this major contribution to go back into the green zone from where we are now. But again, I think that's just a start. We need to get everybody on board. Next. Next slide. Okay. And we have gone down, from using many different crops, more than 10,000 crops, I think, plants we could consume, to 6 or 7. And that's, again, a major issue, not only because we have lost all this diversity and resilience, but it's also a problem for human health in the end, where we need more diversity in our staple crops, and this is possible. Thank you. Next. Next slide. Okay, and that has again, we heard this, major consequences on health, and actually this is ready to bankrupt a number of countries with health bills from the people because of bad nutrition, and this is equivalent to the problem created by wars and also smoking. So you can see that we really need to see, how can we transform this system to also deal not only with the health of the planet, but also to the health of the people. Next. And that famous green evolution, which has been promoted by, again, Bill Gates, but many others, also many development agencies, has not solved any problem. You can see how many people are still under and malnourished around the world, in Africa, in Asia, Eastern Asia, Southern Asia. So again, the system which is being promoted now is actually the system which does not do what it's supposed to do. So we can ask ourselves, how long are we going to promote something that doesn't work? The pandemic has actually shown even more drastically how this globalized food system has many, many shortcomings and needs to be changed. Next. We did nothing new about demanding a transformational food system. The IAA-SDG report, or International Assessment of Agriculture, Knowledge, Science and Technology for Development, 12 years ago has already asked for a major change. I just checked, and actually Sri Lanka was not a country who signed on, with 60 others actually did sign on this transformation. A UN report, 6 UN agencies, World Bank and others supported this way back then and asked for the transformation. Some NGOs, or many NGOs, actually took this message seriously and been working on it, while government basically ignored it. And again, why? Is because of the tremendous lobby from the industrial agricultural promoter, agribusiness, to ignore those messages that we needed a transformation. Next. So just keep clicking through the next changes. So we need a system change. I mean, that's what we want, because again, with the old climate. And we have to take a system and a view and approach. We have to understand the whole system. And again, I think that what is happening in Sri Lanka right now, in other countries, the authority, the people responsible for agriculture and food, start to understand, that everything is connected, and that's why this decision also has been taken. It's economic, but it's also environmental, because in the end, everything ends up also in the economy if your system, if your people are sick. Next. And I think here, this is an important, I just go through all the different buttons. It's important to understand the ecosystem services. So what happened is that on the bottom of this slide, you have pollination, you have natural pest control, we have water cycling, you have soil and regeneration, nutrient cycling, smallholder and family farmers. And so these are all part of what we call the ecosystem services, what nature has given us to produce food, plants, animals, of which we nourish ourselves. And I don't like the word feeding, I always use the word nourishing ourselves, our people. But you see, the problem with this ecosystem services, it doesn't make any money. So some people in the business world decided that, well, why don't we actually eliminate these ecosystem services and sell them to the people? You can buy bees to pollinate your tomatoes these days. You buy pesticide to deal with the pests. You add huge irrigation systems. You add the fertilizer and all kind of synthetic products into the soil. And to get rid of the farmers, because you want to do large-scale farming, to be what? To have cheaper food. And that's actually the argument for everybody. Oh, there's so many poor people, let's produce cheap food, everybody can eat plenty. So that makes a big business, not only in the food sector, but also in the pharma sector, because we have then a lot of sick people we have to treat, never mind the economic disaster which this has created with keeping so many farmers who produce the food for everybody in poverty. So the system is really sick, and why is because we have gone away from these ecosystem services which nature has provided. So let's go back to them again, as Vandana just said before. Also, we have to restore our ecosystem and the services to produce more food. Next. And if we have more diversity in our system, we have more jobs, we have smaller mechanization, we have more varieties. And so this is a fairly recent paper, which actually has put numbers on this. A lot of people say, oh yeah, we need more diversity in our crops. But again, you get multiple benefits in doing this. Next. And so we have already mentioned that we need in several reports, starting with the IASC report, that we need to transform industrial agriculture, also the subsistence agriculture, into a diversified agroecologic farming, which includes organic farming, permaculture. I mean, there is many different practices who fit into this agroecological farming. Which is the way to go, where we again restore and use ecosystem services instead of synthetic, expensive inputs, which actually destroy our life in the soil, destroy the biodiversity above soil also. Next. And go to what we have been promoting now since a long time, agroecology, and even the UNFAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, has come along in the last 10 years and taken over somehow the 5 levels of agroecology and made it out in the 10 elements of agroecology, which are being promoted very widely. And so again, I think Sri Lanka can get a lot of support from many organizations taking the steps it has taken right now to move over to 100% natural farming, which means organic farming, which means basically moving toward full agroecology, and which also includes regenerative practices, and that's important. We want to regenerate these ecosystem services. That this under the larger umbrella of agroecology. There's plenty very good definitions on this, and just check FAO for the 10 elements, so you'll find everything you need. Next. And why is it not happening? I mean, why? What's going on here? I think Vandana mentioned this too, but we have a concentration of power at the center of our food system, blocking the transformation. And why? Is because we have this export orientation. Oh, we need to be the biggest food exporter. Country, that's what country want to do. The expectation of cheap food. Again, food is cheap today, but it's cheap in every sense of the word. And it's only cheap because it actually exploits. It exploits nature instead of regenerating nature. And that's why it's cheap, but it's actually expensive in terms of health also. This feed the world narrative. Oh, we need to feed the world. No, let people nourish themselves, grow their own food. A very narrow thinking, a short-term thinking. We have what we measure as success. Oh, how many kilograms per hectare? Vandana would say exactly the contrary. We need to measure how much health per hectare do we get, rather than just kilogram. And it's easy to continue along the same path for governments, and actually governments and the governance has really failed farmers and the food system by delegating the responsibility of research, of extension to the private sector, when actually food is a human right and should be in the purview of government. The government has to take action. It's not up to the private sector to do what the government's job. The private sector has its role to play, an important role to play, but as a demand, not as an offer, a demand from farmers for products for what they may need, but not the other way around. Next. And so we were given actually a framework which has been universally agreed, the SDGs. So again, by doing what Sri Lanka is trying to do now, it will actually help the country meet the SDG targets. By transforming the food system, you basically touch on every goal. And what you do even more so is you create synergies within the system. Because if we have a healthy agriculture, we're going to have healthy people, you have a healthy environment, you have healthy animals. And so you can see how the repercussion across this whole framework. Next. We at the Millennium Institute actually have helped a number of countries using system models to show that if you transform agriculture, you meet the SDG much faster with the same expenses. And so if you were to even spend more money, you could even go faster. So if we want to actually achieve the SDG by 2030, we need to also transform agriculture. And again, along the lines of what Sri Lanka has been proposing, what Bhutan has been doing, what Sikkim has been doing, and many others who have declared that they want to go 100% organic. I think that's the right way. And we can actually show this with using system models. Could be done for Sri Lanka also, for example. Next. Next slide. And so through the SDGs, I think we can target further up there, like we can see on this slide, and reduce the overshoot in the planetary boundaries. So we have given all the framework we need. I think we can just sort of move ahead using a political framework which is very sensible. It's actually quite conservative, and I hope that many countries will actually overshoot on the SDGs and go even faster. Next. So, what has to change? So in research and innovation, we need more transdisciplinary, integrated and agroecological approaches. Right now, more than 95% of the money spent in the countries and globally is still going toward green revolution type agriculture. And why? It's because it's led and directed by the private sector and not by government, really. We need co-create knowledge. Farmers have to be much more involved in the co-creation of knowledge, because they know what they need, but they know quite often they don't have the know-how how to transform this. So here science meets experience, knowledge, and again we invest more in agroecology. We cannot continue the path that we are on right now with this false investment. We need coherent policy in the food system transformation. You cannot, on the one hand, say, oh, yeah, we want sustainable food systems. On the other hand, promote input-laden type agriculture. Doesn't work. So again, we have to be consistent and coherent. And again, a contribution of agroecology to global, regional, and national commitments. I think we have to look at the impact of policies on SDGs. So again, one has to work much more closely, between the different government sectors. They all have to work together, not in silos, and again, solve the problems in a way that the synergies are being created. And again, I think we need to analyze the policies. In every country, there has to be a good system to analyze the policies, and also start to think harder, of the consequences of climate change. No matter what we do right now, we are on a path of major troubles in terms of climate, and agriculture and our food system need to be made much more resilient. And resilience, not for where we are now, resilience for where we should be in terms of really surviving major droughts, floods, and other changes which are climate induced. So I think I will stop here. There's a few more slides we can share with a number of key messages which basically summarize what I have said so far. So I think, yeah, next slide, just to say that there is a literature around, it's listed here, so you can have the PowerPoint, everyone can look at it, download it if you want to, and you can go look at this report and the newest report we just released, post IASCD report, which gives a lot of important information on the way ahead. Next. Yeah, this is that's the report. Next, and see the key messages here. So I'm not going to read them. I mean, you can read them, in due course in your time. Next, and I just want to say that again. I think we have a lot of knowledge of what to do. I think it's time that the policy environment gets changed. Next slide and next slide. And I think that what Sri Lanka is doing right now, exactly on the policy level, let's make it policy that we need to transform the food system. Next. We're done. Okay, so this is my little presentation here. I hope it gives a good compliment Madana Shiva's talk. And let's move ahead. It can be done. I think we are all here to help in this transformation of the food system and support Sri Lanka in this fantastic decision which was made. But again, I think it will take time. It has to be done over time with a lot of support to the farmers who are going to have to change and do more things. So again, thank you very much for listening.